we are discussing an important topic. And the topic we're discussing is simple. Can you trust your business? Can you trust that your business is fine when you are not there? If you travel, let's assume that you live and you are out of the country, or you live and you are out of town and you have to spend 2 weeks. Can you confidently know that your business is in good state? So today we want to help you analyze the business and get an answer to this question. And one of the first questions we're asking us is, do you know your employees are telling you the truth? Can you independently verify that? Take for instance, I have a question we're discussing. And so the first thing is that you don't simply have to trust. That's why we say trust and verify. There is a difference, an important distinction between trust and verify that we want to underscore in our today's episode. Trust. Yes, I know that you are telling the truth. But can I independently verify that you are speaking the truth? It's what most business owners lack today. Just imagine the situation that you are not in town and then you decide to contact your salesperson and ask how was sales today, and he or she said we sold 2 million francs. The question is, you believe them, obviously, that's what they did. But the question we want to ask is, can you independently verify if he or she is telling the truth? Is there a way for you to know how many transactions were made? Can you know how many transactions were made? In order for you to know whether your business is doing well, you should be able to. How much cash was received? Are you able to know how much cash that came into the business? How much came in via mobile money? How much came in via bank? How much came in via cash, physical cash? What quantity of stock left the store in such a day? Were there discounts that were given? Which customers visited the business? How many prospects did the business get as of that particular day? And so if you are not able to provide answers to this question, basically it means you don't know your business. You should know your business. And knowing your business doesn't mean that you have to be there. Knowing your business simply means there should be a way for you to verify whatever data that you have. And you should be able to do it real time. The good thing about a system, having a system in your business, is a system offers you the possibility to know what happened, who did what, and when. And you don't only rely on what somebody is telling you. There is hardcore evidence. I can log into my account and see the number of transactions that took place. I can even assess if this transaction increased or they decreased, and what is the highest value that came in, which customers visited, who came in for prospecting today, maybe to find out about our services, and what stage of the conversation my staff had with this person. Do you have a possibility of that? Now, that is one of the principles that you need to have in place to be able to independently know that whatever you are being told is a true reflection of what is in the business. Now, there are some common things that I see business owners do, which is that they lost money through their employees without any consciousness. It's not sometimes deliberate. Yes, it's not deliberate. For instance, something mistakenly happened, or there was a damage, and sometimes, so you are not. Also, a customer comes in and buy goods. Let's say a customer buys goods for you worth 150,000 francs, and the salesperson recorded 100,000, or someone decides to give a huge discount in your business. We have said the manager or anybody you can give discount, and the person gives a huge amount of discount. The question we're asking, have you set some control mechanisms to how much you can give as discount? If a customer brings back a product, is there a way to see whether that product can be accepted or not? Do you have a standardized procedure? Not this, because most often the way you are running your business, the essence of putting in a system is because you want to make sure that there are procedures for everything. There is a procedure to take if somebody brings back a product. You don't say, no, if somebody brings this product, it will not be taken. There's a procedure for say, okay, if you're selling this thing for 10,000, you can sell it for this and this and that. This is the level of discount you can give. Now, those are standards that you put in place, and those standards help you now to be able to run the business, either you are there or not, and it must be deliberate. So, if you want to trust your staffs, what they're doing, you must also have a procedure to verify whatever they're saying, because trust and auditing are like friends. Yes, we trust what you're saying, but let's also check what you're saying. That's why auditors come into a business to check, right? The reason why we have management separated from ownership as public institutions are concerned is because while we have given the organization for somebody to take care of it, we also want to be sure that the person is taking care of it accordingly, following the procedures, following the standards, following the right accountability, transparency, responsibility. The person is a steward to the business. Thank you for joining us, and please thank you. And we appreciate if you share and like our video. Now, the reason why there is a difference between the separation of ownership from management, especially with public institutions, is because owners want to be able to verify, and they bring in auditors. So why do you think that is not important in your own business when you are different from the person who is running the business on day to day? You only rely on trust as a standard protocol. I don't think that trust is enough to sustain a business. Especially, yes, you can trust your friend, you can trust somebody, but then to what extent? And when the business starts growing, it cannot rely on trust. That's why you need a system. That's why you need to be able to manage your business in a way that if somebody says this is what happened, you can verify it. And if the person there's something wrong, you should be able to identify it. You should be proactive in making sure that the business is safe. Thank you for joining. If you're on Facebook or on YouTube, thank you for joining. And we appreciate if you can like and share so that many persons can join this conversation. Today, we're talking about the issue of trust and management of business. And we started with the question, can you trust what your accountant or whoever is telling you if you are not within the premises of your business? And we have said that it is possible to trust. You should trust the person, but you should also be able to independently verify whatever the person is saying. You should be able to know how many transactions went out today. You should be able to know how much came in, which customer visited the business, were there discounts offered, there's any return inwards, and some of those things. Those are things that happen in businesses on a daily basis. And if you are not able to get to know these things real time, there are so many things that may be happening to your business that you don't know. So the second question we want to ask is, should one employee be able to sell, right, receive money, modify transaction, reconcile the same transactions? We say no. In business, there are what we call control mechanisms. There are control mechanisms, and why you bring in control mechanisms is because in as much as one person can do the tax, it is not good for one person to do the tax as a business principle. Remember, we're discussing business. And in business, it's not about emotions, it's about being real if you want to succeed. So ideally, you don't want to give one person too much control. Even your manager should have limited control to certain things. If you are the owner of the business, manager should give limited control to maybe the cashier. The cashier should not be able to issue invoices, at the same time receive money, at the same time reconcile the business, and at the same time submit everything. No, there should be that separation. Who did the sell? Who is keeping the money, and how is the money? Because when one person is in charge of all of these things, there's a tendency that a lot of things can go wrong. So in short, if John sells a product, John receives cash, John reconciles sales and inventory. John can later edit that transaction and rewrite it because there were discrepancies. Then your business has serious accountability issues or serious issues of internal control. Internal control processes are put in place because there is a need for you to make sure that your business objectives, that the business is running as an independent body, and that no one person has too much power to be able to do everything in a business. Now, it's not because you don't trust the people. The people can be very honest. In most cases, they are. But if something gets missing, if the person issues a fraudulent transaction, can we know that this is the person who did it, or it will just get mixed up within the other transactions and nobody will ever know? You must have some internal controls. That is important. Thank you for joining, please, and it's important. Thank you for liking, and we really appreciate. Now, if numbers don't match in your books, can you know who was there at this particular hour, who did the transaction, who who provided the inventory, who received it, who did maybe inventory, receive, all of those things? The reason is simple. If one person has authority, the one person can manipulate the business, you will never know. As business grow, segregation of duties becomes a practical reality in every business. As business grew, one thing that business do is that bureaucracy, sometimes it's not because the people don't want one person do all, it's because they want to be what? Check and balances. Have you ever seen and think of the need for a check and balances to your business? Do you consider that something that is important? So, dear friends, it is important for you to know that check and balances in business is a must. You can't do it manually. You can't do it by simple logic. You come and see maybe some WhatsApp messages, some invoices and that. No, there must be an accountability system. A software helps you to enforce a way to control user roles. A software helps you to be able to give permissions to who can do what. A software helps you to be able to track transaction history. A software helps you to be able to know who did what and when, which is something we cannot emphasize. Please answer this question for me if you can. How can technology help a business owner to know who did what and when and why in your business right now? Or there is no system at all. So there is nothing, everything is manual. Just imagine you are selling 5 products. It's just an imagination. We want to look at, you just imagine you are selling 5 products and you don't have you have a manual system. You might start asking who took these products. It's common. I've done that. Before I got to building systems, I suffered that because there was no system that I could use. So I think you may have the same problem. If I really want to bring in a system into my business, what can I do? I can suggest at least the one that we have built. Work with different organizations that have the same challenges that we have, and we have overcome them. And I can suggest, but I always say that focus on me first, and also think at it. There are softwares, there are systems for free, there are systems that are payable, very expensive, and there are almost systems that are very cheap. There's a system you can get and you pay less than 5,000 francs a month that can save you at least 200,000 every month, and you're paying maybe 5,000 or less. But you don't count the cost. You very much think that no, if I bring in and pay this person 5,000, the person is taking out a lot of money from my business. Let's assume you're selling something. Let's say you're selling drinks, and there's a bottle of champagne that is for 10,000 francs. And so somebody just picks that up and you never know. That can happen multiple times in a month and multiple times in a week or in a year, and if you accumulate the losses just because there was no control. Thank you for joining, Madam Courage. I appreciate you can join and even ask a question. It's excited to know you're there. Now, just imagine that somebody comes and pick up that bottle of champagne, and you are not able to know that it has taken. It's 10,000 francs times 10. That's with 100,000. And if that happens, maybe times 20. They will not take it once, all at once, and you will never know. Or assume, take another scenario. One of your salespersons sell something and don't record the transaction. The transaction is recorded, quite all right. But the person did not record it instantly. When I recorded maybe to a date in the past. So you come and take transactions for today. Nothing shows up. That is a whole issue, right? That's a whole issue. It makes it possible that somebody comes into the business just because of just using the principle of backdating a transaction. You are not aware. Madam Courage, thank you for joining. You can join the live show and we'll be happy to have a discussion with you. Yes, if you can. Okay. So that is what we're expecting. You should not give room for someone to be able to just simply backdate transactions or take a transaction, money comes in very well, and instead of recording it today, we'll go and record it maybe 5 days behind. You come and look at today's record, everything is clean. Stocks are leaking, there are leakages in the business, and you're not aware. You know, why is my business struggling? Money is going out. Everything seems okay. The records are clear. How much did we make today? 200,000. You check. Everything is okay, but there are 5 transactions that were backdated, and you're not aware. Are you aware of that? It happens on a daily basis. We are working with systems, and one of the things we do is that we are providing ways to keep track of what is happening. But many business owners say, no, I don't need a system. I know everything out here. I'm so much. I have the capability to store 1,000 transactions in my brain, store all my customers in my brain, know the transactions, the amount that they're buying, know when they were there, how much you owe me, when they intend to pay. No, you can't do that. Let the machine do it for you. So today we're basically advocating the need for a system to manage your business because it saves you a lot of stress. And you'll be able to do what? Know who recorded the transaction, who modified the transaction, who approved the adjustment, how did the stock movement happen, who was there at that time, when was it performed, and why was it performed. There must be a justification why that modification was done. Now, if you come and discover that the transaction was recorded, at times we are so concerned of what was recorded. The system must be able to keep what came in today, what was not recorded against today's transaction, but it was recorded in the system. It is a very important control mechanism. I have told this story of a situation we experienced in a pharmacy. What basically happened is that we were working with a pharmacy, and the owner told us that they used to sell products and something happened that took him by amaze. They were trusted staff, and so he had some products that he bought and he kept them in the shelf. He knew exactly how many of them were there. And one day he came and discovered that the number was different, and he went to his record and started checking. Yes, they wanted to sell, but they discovered that the quantity the client was requesting, he accepted that it was available, but when they wanted to supply it to the client, discovered that the quantity was not enough. I was like, what happened? Went to the records, check. The day nothing has been sold, he expected it was there. Started checking. Now, when I discovered that transaction, a user or a worker in the store did a transaction, but backdated the transaction, which means the transaction was recorded. You can record it today. You did the transaction today, but register it as if it was done 3 days ago. So the sales for today will not account for that because the date says it's a previous transaction. But what the employee did not know, wasn't aware, is that even if you take a transaction that was done today and recorded yesterday, they will know that yes, the money is going for yesterday's account, but the transaction was done today and it was done by me, you, or by this person. So that audit trail possibility cannot be done where you just come and see cash and you count it. Yes, I saw 100,000 and everything aligns. In a system where they say everything was passed through the computer or computerized system, That is how you also prevent fraud, because even with a system, somebody can still manipulate it. So are you able to track who modified? A transaction was done for 100,000. Yes, it's something that, and somebody, because you negotiated the price, we can sell it for 80,000. And after you give the client the transaction for 100,000, the client pays, you come back, you edit the invoice and put it at what? 80,000. A good system should be able to know that this transaction initially was 100,000, modified to 80,000, and why it was still modified, and who did the modification. If you are not able to track that, then there is a big problem in your business. No matter how you think that you know the business, the assumption that you know the business sometimes is a mistake. We overemphasize our knowledge of our business in our absence. So it is important for you to take into account the fact that in as much as you trust your staff, you should be able to independently verify. In as much as you trust your brain, you will not be able to cover a lot by just thinking that you can do it. Because business is complex. Business has so many moving parts, and you cannot store all of them in your brain. I have experienced it. A client comes back and says, the other day, I was going to Kumba, I entered a car, and I experienced something. There was a lady, she seems to be, she'll call herself a businesswoman. And so she buys and sells. So there's this particular client that she has been, seems to supply to the client when the client says, come collect money. So they started doing analysis. The client is saying that, no, we are given to 1.3, and the lady said, you are giving us only 900,000. What has happened to 400,000? It was a whole conversation since we got to talk. Ask your wife, I did this, and the lady saying, I always jot it down in my records, and the woman say yes, and so there was that constant disagreement. Do you know why? There was no receipt issued, either from the client or from the customer. Nobody recorded this movement of money and share the record with another person. You go to WhatsApp, you cannot see the message that the conversation took place. There is no way to independently verify. So what control measures have you put in your business to ensure that even if you're not there, the business should be successful? A good business that is growing, intends to grow, should be ready to do what? To accept setting up a system so that they can control. For instance, you have to start, even if you're a small business, start. Don't say, no, we are too very small, we'll start going, we are big, or crises are there, we cannot do. No. Start from the basics. Every sale should be recorded. That's the first basic step. Every sale should be recorded, big or small. That is one of the most important things, right? Every purchase should be recorded. And when we say recorded, what do we mean? You should be able to say that this person did this particular sale at this particular time to this particular person. That one means recording. Time, when it was done, who did it, and which party was involved. To the third party, you either get the number if possible or not, but at least get some basic information. Whether it was cash, Momo, bank, you should be able to get that. Thank you, Madam Courage. And yes, it's very important. You need a system for your business. A system for your business will save you a lot more in terms of stress and in terms of anything compared to the cost you think it's involved. And I keep advocating, this is my advocacy, that get a system, get the one that's free. If you cannot afford one, at least get something. Get the one that's cheap, or get the one that's expensive. They may offer different functionality, but a system can be free that keep this record. Let me say, which every sale should be recorded, right? Yes, every sale should be recorded, regardless of who did the sale. Even you, the boss, you should record the sale. Please, a second. Just give me a second. Power issues here. Okay. So every sale should be recorded. It's very, very important for you to see that every sale, every purchase should be recorded. Every business transaction, for it to be successful, should take into account who did the transaction, when it was done. You should be able to trace inventory movement. There's what we call inventory movement. Inventory movement means if you buy something today, let's say you buy a product today for 10 units and stock it today, and you sell 2 tomorrow, the system should say, okay, this was bought today and sold 2 units today. If you add 5, they increase. So there be that movement from when you started selling that product to the current state, so that you can know the movement of inventory in and out. Every business that has inventory should be able to track this. It is very, very important. Now, another control measure, every employee, especially in a business that have multiple employees, should be what have permissions. There should be permission to what he or she can do with limits. There should be nobody who have absolute right to do and undo without traces in your business. Financial control. It should not just be that you come at the end of the day and you review records. These are the sales. No, that might seem very good. I've done that, but I came to discover that it seems very good and convenient, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Because, like the example we just gave, backdating is a common factor, and you will never know. Thank you for joining, please. We're discussing, can you go and leave your business and come back and see whatever happened in the business, or most importantly, be able to trace whatever is happening in your business in real time. Thank you, sir, Eric, for joining, and I'm excited to have you. We're discussing about business. You have a question, you drop it, and I'll happily take it. And also, comment and tell us where you're watching us from and what time it is there, and we'll be excited. That is a community we're growing, which is about business management. Yes, it's about business management. Yeah, welcome to this. If you can like and subscribe, please be part of the community. Let's be discussing how to manage our business. Today we're saying, can you leave your business and trust it in the hands of other persons and know that will be okay. So thank you, Eric. I'm excited to have you. Thank you for the like. And let's keep the questions. If you have a question or a comment, I'll be excited to have it on this. And most importantly, subscribe so that every day we come on live. We are discussing business in this channel and in this page. Anytime you are here, we are talking about business. If you have not watched our previous video, we should talk about inventory management. We have at least 10 questions you should be able to answer as a business owner about your business, so that it will help you grow your business with ease. So that is what we are discussing. So that is the discussion that we're having. So at the end of the day, what we are trying to establish, what we are advocating is that businesses that are running without systems tend to suffer a lot, much more than business with systems, and that the cost of not using a system outweighs the cost of getting one. But most people, business owners, they know the challenges, but they are not willing to change habits. Getting a system can be free. Getting a system is cheap. But the most challenging part is that you need to change your habit to know that if my business must be successful, then there must be what? Constant accountability. And accountability is ensured best with system. And now in the world of AI, let's talk about AI. Have you been thinking about use of AI in your business? Have you been thinking about use of AI in your profession? Have you been thinking and implementing AI to run your business, to manage processes? If you haven't done that, oh, I wonder what you were thinking and doing. Because even plastering of a house today, AI is coming for it. You may not think that that is true, but that is a reality. We are reaching the period we talk about super intelligent. that AI is getting to a place where it's not more depending on our existing knowledge. It wants to recreate knowledge now based on all what it has learned thus far. So it becomes more or less a researcher who is discovering new things that have not been discovered. And people are trying to optimize its use in business. As a data scientist, the way we infuse this, because what data scientists do is that they mine data, they analyze data, and they automate systems, is that in the few years to come, companies will rely more on their internal data for what? Data analytics and machine learning models. You'll be able to build, for instance, if you want to manage a bank, you should be able to collect all data from your bank across the country and build a machine learning module or an algorithm that keep going through the data and telling you what to do and what not to do. You can interact with it real time about companies' data. And then you don't even have a system. You're still relying on WhatsApp messages, Excel notebooks, Excel notebooks, and the rest. No, brother. No, sister. That is not the best way to manage your business in the world of today. To manage a business in the world of today is digital. Digital remains the best way. Now, and the most important thing, all systems are using as accessible via your mobile. So don't say that your business cannot be, you cannot use a system because you don't have a computer. If you can use a smartphone, I always tell people a smartphone is just a smaller version of a computer. It has the same thing, the same functionalities, built on the same principle. The only thing is that one was compressed and make it much smaller, given our authority for cost. So in today's edition, this is what we covered, since we are running out of time. We discussed the need for you to be able to know exactly what is happening in your business. You should be able to trust your workers, but independently verify whatever they're telling you, so that you'll be able to know if there are unscrupulous staffs within the system who basically manipulate the system for their own personal gains. We discussed the example of a hotel, a pharmacy, where staffs used to backdate their products when they were sold, but because there was a system, they were able to identify who was doing it, and the person had to pay for the fraud that he or she has been committing. We also discussed another situation, which is a client and a supplier arguing over how much is left to be paid, and nobody amongst them had the ability to independently verify who truly was honest, and it became a heated debate. I don't know how the story ended because I made this client in a car, and at the end of the day, one person was saying I paid 1.3, another person was saying you paid only 900,000, and there was that 2-4 back discussion, and there was no evidence because no receipt was issued. And because of these few challenges, we said that as a business owner, you must ensure that there's what? You should implement systems. Systems are there to help you. And one of the systems is basically ensure that everything is recorded. Every transaction, every sale is recorded, every purchase is recorded, every payroll that you do is recorded, and so on and so forth. And we said, if you don't have money, you think that you don't have money, also count the cost of not having a system to manage your business. Because if you do it and you're honest about it, you'll discover that the cost is far higher. And so that is what we saw for today's edition. Thank you, and it was nice having you. Like and subscribe so that we continue to grow this community of how to manage our businesses. Bye-bye for now. I'm Ferdinand Tingo.